Ooh, welcome to the Part-Time Otaku Podcast. Again, I'm Dave,
I'm Grant.
and we're going to talk about Attack on Titan Season 4, Episode 4 this week. Boom.
It just continues to ramp up.
Yeah, I think shit is about to hit the fan.
Yeah.
In new and exciting ways. Did you like the episode? How do you feel?
It was great. Oddly, it was funny. There was a couple moments in the episode where it actually felt like I wasn't watching Attack on Titan. Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. There are a couple moments in there that felt completely foreign, which I think is part of the theme of the episode, and
Yeah.
that really give you a very different vibe.
Calm Before the Storm would be one way.
100%, dude. Especially those really heartfelt, uplifting festival scenes towards the end of the episode.
Yeah.
It's wow, this is beautiful. I really hope something doesn't ruin all this.
I know. It honestly felt like something straight out of My Hero Academia, or even Demon Slayer. There were some training montages and even lighthearted moments between characters. It was also very reminiscent of season 1 in training.
Yeah.
Kind of just playing around and laughing and jesting, and you can tell this is probably the first time the Marleyan young warriors have probably the only time they were experiencing anything like this. So it was just, you just see their genuine joy. And even there's moments where Reiner, he can't help himself to smile, right? It was really, really cool to see.
Yeah, and it's super reminiscent. That vibe is very reminiscent of season 1 when the main cast is Eren and crew are really starting to feel ready. You know what I mean? Their training is wrapping up. They're going to join the scouts soon, and then that's when the attack happens. I don't know if you remember. I watched it recently, but back in season 1, Eren's actually having an internal monologue about it's going to be different now. We're at the helm. We're gonna save the world basically, and that's when the Colossal Titan appears behind him in that iconic shot. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Crazy.
Yeah. They're really.
Oh, dude.
As it goes through, the parallels to season 1 and 2, the most I find.
100%.
It's there's definitely stuff from season 3, both parts, that you're seeing influences, but it's very much it's almost back to basics in a weird way.
Yeah.
And this episode was kind of I found just kind of, it's like I said before, and you had said too, so I think something very grim is coming. And funny enough, this morning I actually saw the key art for season 4.
Oh yeah.
And I think it was just the poster that was presented for season 4, and I believe it's Eren in Titan form, towering over a city.
Oh,
and
yes.
I think it's Falco. We see the back shot of Falco, kind of just standing there, clearly in a stance of alarm, of alertness.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if that might be what we're about to see.
Yeah. I know the frame that you're talking about, and it's just so crazy because it's again, back in season 1 when those Titans appeared, especially in the pilot when they were just helpless kids, there was a lot of shots of stuff like that, of children running around, being scared, not knowing what's going on. There's this monster that's invading their city, and it feels like that's what we're about to do.
Yeah.
Okay. Should we jump into the plot?
Let's get into it.
Yeah, so we open on Falco is chatting up with Reiner. He's like, "Oh, I forgot something at HQ. I gotta go get it." And we figure out quickly that Falco's sending a letter for Eren. And they seem to, have a good rapport. I think Eren's kind of got Falco wrapped around his finger.
I wonder how much time has passed.
They hint at it later that there has been a passage of time. Somewhere through the towards the end of the show, Eren mentions, "You've been a huge help sending all these letters." So, letters plural, let's assume that's intel, which is scary. But, I don't know, days, weeks, somewhere in there.
I had guessed that, because the festival had to be constructed, right? That's kind of one of the main that's gonna be the jumping off points going forward. Like, you know, the festival next episode is like I think gonna be the next big moment. Um, so yeah, I guess it would have taken time to build that and like get the city ready, and they're bringing in all the other. You know, I'm jumping ahead, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, I think some time has gone through. I'm so curious what Aaron has. I wish I could have heard more of their conversations. You know, like just
I
see
know.
more of like Aaron's insight, and you can tell Falco like from the get go was just kind of a little bit of enamored with Aaron.
Yep.
You know, so it just would
Well,
it's
he's like a, he's an older man that seems to be
yeah.
wise and has experience, and he's insightful, and he's kind to
And as far as
Falco.
Falco knows, he's a soldier too. Like
Yep.
he fights for the same cause,
Yep.
and you know he probably doesn't. You know, childlike innocence probably doesn't see the danger in speaking with them.
Of course.
Yeah.
Quickly after that, we learn that the whole Tiber family has shown up for a visit. They've got their own personal guard that aren't under the command of the military. We meet Willie.
Yeah.
He's the
Willie.
head of the Tiber family. He invites, Magath. Is it Commander Magath or General Magath? He invites Magath to come say hello and meet the family. And he says, hey, the Warhammer Titan is here, but he doesn't tell him who possesses it. My guess is that...
Very interesting scene. That's, I think, out of that balcony, there's a lot that had happened on that balcony chat they had. But,
Agreed.
you get like a pan of the room, you see the rest of the family.
There's young, there's old, all ages.
And
big family.
Big family, and I'd like they take like a good like 2 seconds on each one of them, so like you can see a face. They very much leave it to like it can be any of them.
Yeah, it's interesting. It might be a little too easy if it's Willie that possesses it.
And I don't believe it is.
But they're doing he's been on screen. This is his first episode, right? And he had like a pretty great performance. I don't know if you want to call it that, but his dialogue was snappy. The voice actor did a great job. Like he had a good first impression, I should say.
Yeah.
So back to the balcony. So much shit happened there, dude. Little lore dump about Helos.
Yeah.
This Marleyan hero. Magath talks about how he's in favor of Marleyan conscription, which is like pretty interesting. He basically says he's all for Marleyans getting drafted, more or less, because he wants an end to the war, which is not what I would have guessed.
Was shocking.
Right? They're developing Magath. It's funny, like, I think earlier in, like, episode 1 or 2, you were like, oh, like, that's my boy, kind of jokingly.
Yeah.
But, like, I was pretty positive that, like, he was going to be kind of a one-note character.
Yeah, or even kind of like, easy to paint as the film or as an antagonist for like for anyone, but it's I found there's a specific shot very reminiscent of when last episode when Reiner pulls the gun out of his mouth, like very well drawn, and like just and even too when Aaron and Falco are speaking last episode, the reference to Falco potentially being the armored titan, just Aaron's eyes, Magath's eyes when it shifted over to Willie when he makes a note of I hear you're in favor of conscription, just so telling, and like the like legitimate fear in his eyes,
Yeah, and it's interesting to see kind of the shoe on the other foot there, because we've seen our boy Magath just knocking all of these titans around, you know what I mean, or treating them like second-class citizens, and here he is kind of clearly on the other side of the power differential this time.
Yeah.
Because in this same conversation, we more or less learned that the Tibers control most of the Marley government, or the entire Marley government. We don't know what the source of their power is, unless it is just the Warhammer Titan, or if it's just because they're a noble family.
I was shocked. I did not see that coming at all. That was one of those things. I had to immediately just like rewind. I was like, what did he just say? Like that. I must have misheard that. But no, it's and there's how like there's I guess like commercial breaks in the episode. They have like those like cool like little fact pages.
Yeah.
They make a reference to the Tiber family directly having an association with this Helos.
Yeah, like
and like
maybe, yeah.
18 kilos. So and later in the episode too, like they refer to Willie as like the ancestor of the savior of our people.
Yes.
Like, and all these people who clearly hate Eldians, and like they're all like scum and they're all devils. The second his presence alone is mesmerizing to all these people.
Yeah, tune
It's
changes when
so
he's around.
it's such a strange dynamic from everything we've seen so far this season with like in Marley, the setting and like during the war, and then like even in Liberia and at the docks, and it's what an interesting character Willie is, and
Yeah,
I
and the
think
dynamic that he's changing.
yeah,
But not only is it interesting that everyone's reverence for him is so obvious, but it's crazy that he's Eldian, and
yeah,
that one they really revere him, and two that he's letting this happen to his people.
yeah.
Like he's very clearly totally aware and probably somewhat responsible, or at least his family is.
I did get the vibe that he's only like recently maybe the head of the family. Like because he makes a reference, not in this conversation, but there's another conversation he has with McGaff later about like
It's kind of
the
just his
wheels
turn
have
to hold the wheel.
it's his turn to hold the wheel, and everyone prior before him has just been letting the wheel go.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering like if he hasn't been in power like or in running the. I'm wondering if he's new to his power and he's decided to like put an end to things,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is in one way or another, and I'd love to talk. I'm sure we're going to talk about that later on because they definitely set this up to go one of many ways.
Yes. He.
His intention. I don't think it's going to be as straightforward as it kind of came across as.
Yeah, that balcony chat. He really just sort of hints and says, "Yeah, I'll reveal the way forward at the festival."
Yeah,
And we get more details on that later. But next, we cut to Piek, the cart
yeah,
titan, walking around on all fours,
just to the top of the stair.
which was somewhat terrifying.
Yeah.
Scared the shit out of Galliard. It was just like a fun little scene.
Yeah.
And then we cut to a
I mean,
war meeting. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
and well, even that, and that was one of those moments where I was like, I feel like I was just watching like I hate saying this, but not like a generic shonen, but like such a more lighthearted show.
Yeah,
Like they even like they had that like little lighthearted moment with Galliard and Piek, and seems kind of just like it's a little bit of comic relief, and it's like, oh,
I'm
that's weird, that's out of place, and then you see everything later on, and it's like, oh, like yeah, like they missed out on their childhood, like like they find their fun in their own little ways, like
yeah, man. I'm
it's
rewatching season two still with the girlfriend right now, and it's obviously while season four is happening, it's really shining a light on all these parallels
yeah,
that there are. But there's also little things like in season two, like there you don't really remember the comic relief a lot of the time in Attack on Titan because it's such a fucked up dark show. But
yeah,
like it is littered in there. It is sprinkled. Like they use Sasha a lot. Like,
yeah.
I'm watching season two, and she's had like 3 scenes in 3 episodes, and without failure, all 3 of her lines of dialogue are food related.
Oh yeah.
It's just pretty funny. But anyway, yeah, that was a funny scene. Then we cut to a war meeting. Reiner's answering questions, giving intel to this war council. He gets insulted immediately for not having a solution.
And give some legitimate information.
He does.
And he even goes like, "I'm just giving you what I know," and the guy's like, "Well, you're useless."
Shouldn't have let an Eldian talk.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then they briefly chat, and all the Titans are like, "Yeah, I can't wait to see what they come up with." Like they don't.
Well,
Yeah.
that was also very telling too, because
there is clearly resentment among them, and when
yes.
they feel safe, they express it.
Yeah, and because at that scene, I immediately thought back to. It was episode 2 where right at the very end where the the Marlians are listening in on the conversation between Zeke and the rest of the warriors, and that they make a point of, oh, Galliard kind of had a little bit of pushback, but he at the end of the day he falls in line, and I think they might have mentioned, maybe I'm misremembering this, but I feel like they make a note of like, Piek is always solid, and then like I think Reiner and Zeke are kind of that's like a known, that's like a known for them.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, all of them, even Zeke was kind of like they were just kind of like, well, it's
Is what it is.
it is what it is. It just seemed. I feel like there's more to that scene. I feel like that them's like all leading out, and then it quickly cuts away to the next scene,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of kicks back into the lightheartedness of the episode again.
Falco
But
beating Gabby in a race.
yeah, beating Gabby at a race, and like all of them just being dumbfounded, and that and then it kind of just bounces back to them, and just they're a family,
Mm-hmm.
they're
Big
all
time.
very close, and just the light, the theme, there's lots of themes in this episode and this season so far, but I really appreciated seeing the lightheartedness of this group specifically. It's been so it's been full. Yeah.
So I was gonna say it's very refreshing, but it's killing me because I
Yeah.
feel like there's a reason we're getting all this lighthearted stuff.
Yeah.
And it's because it's probably all about to be taken away. But I agree. It's a really fun change of pace, and we know enough about these characters now to be in on the fun.
Yeah. It was the perfect setup. We had the 3 episodes, getting to know them and their vices and their pros and their cons and where they stand in the world and their
Yeah.
it was a lot of information, and then it felt normal to see them have like a day like this.
Yeah, things are falling into place.
Yeah.
If we move forward, so yeah, Falco beats Gabby in that race. He's stoked. He seems like to be in a better place. His mood is good. Everybody's giving him props, including Reiner's like, damn, I didn't think he'd win. And he admits fully to Gabby and co, like, yeah, I'm not giving up. Like, they haven't selected a successor yet. I'm gonna keep trying.
Yeah, she headbutts him, and everyone's like,
yeah. And he does admit it though. He does say I'm trying to do this to save you.
Yeah, and she's clueless.
She cannot compute.
No, and everyone's like, oh, I love the one guard. It says a line of like, oh, I can't believe you said it.
Yeah.
You finally admitted it, and you could tell everyone knows that Falco cares about her.
Yeah, but they're children, and there's probably some affection involved there. So naturally, they're daft as fuck.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. The next is festival preparations. This is an interesting scene. So, the warrior candidates are talking there, and I forget the one kid's name. He's the kid later that spills wine on someone. He's a warrior candidate. That's all I know. But
I'm blanking his name.
But he mentions that he gives us 2 pieces of info that I think we may have known, but is a bit of a reminder. He says, "My parents are from an internment zone in another nation."
I found that. Yeah, I was surprised by that as well.
So, one, I didn't know there'd be other internment zones in other countries. And 2, he says the disdain for Eldians is even worse abroad than it is here. Yeah. So it's like, Jesus Christ. It's not just Marley clearly has their boot on the neck of Eldians here, but it feels like if we win this fight, we're not liberating everyone everywhere. So it's much more widespread than we were aware of. Then we cut to Willie and McGath talking about Willie's position. We kind of allured to this earlier, how he said he feels the weight of this decision that is kind of coming. Mm-hmm. He feels the weight of being the head of this family and therefore the nation. Because I think McGath actually says, you're kind of the supreme commander of Marley.
Yeah. Well, no, because Willie kind of makes a comment of, the military is yours. And he goes, well, no.
Yeah.
It's, I answer to you. I answer the supreme commander who is you. I run the military, but so McGath is definitely, he's siding, He's choosing, he's picking his side, and we've yet to see the other side of the government. I guess there was that earlier meeting in season 2 at the beginning of the episode where it opens up to that war room. They're all kind of like the Hitler-esque characters at the table. I don't know, that's the thing too. We don't get names for a lot of these characters.
Oh, in episode 2, yeah.
In episode 2, so it's kind of just generic, Marleyan government leaders and all that. Willie is the only concrete one, and McGath is the only known members we have, but. And then
there's this weird moment. Did you pick up on this?
The demolition reference?
Yeah, he gives him a book, and I don't know if there's significance to that. And Willie reads it, And he's like, oh, there's a large-scale demolition required. That's interesting. And then they talk about other stuff. Then they return to it, and they go, oh, we can reuse the pillars, but we got to get rid of the rest. The house is infested with rats.
Mm.
So, and they are kind of looking at some construction, and like they are in the middle of what looks like appears to be a construction zone. But it was just weird to me. I don't know why, because it kind of felt like they were meeting to discuss some shit.
Well,
and do you think the house is infested with rats is a metaphor for we are aware that we have spies in our midst? Or is it completely literal and they actually have to tear a building down? And for some reason, they're telling us this.
I have two trains of thought. One of them I'll say because it kind of goes, um, yeah, like I don't know how. Maybe we'll wait a little longer, but just my one. You know what? Let's just do it now. The I genuinely believe Willie's kind of like ramping up to like we're gonna have this. Cuts ahead to like there's a dinner scene. Let's just cut to that. It's kind of like what happens next, more or less.
Yep.
And we'll backtrack to an Aaron moment, but there's the scene at the ball where Willie, there's that very, very strange moment with who I'm assuming is like a governor or a prime minister of Marley.
Yeah, I think he's unnamed.
Of some sort, unnamed, and he kind of like, clearly makes an antagonistic joke at the expense of like all the people in the room, who's like all these other nations.
He says yesterday's enemy is today's enemy.
Yeah, and like the first time I watched the episode, I thought that was maybe just like a kind of like a weird translation, for the subs. And then I noticed like a very like concrete like smile, and I was like, oh, this guy's a fucking asshole. Like, it just goes to show like how kind of clueless these people are. Like, they're just war hungry. They love picking fights. But so Willie kind of comes in and calms down and like straight up is like, oh yeah, like not a good joke. I got it now. And then he starts talking. Everyone starts losing it over him. Like everyone's clapping, and he clearly has this rapport with all these other nations, which is so weird because Marley's been at war with all these people. Like what has he done to gain all their faith in him? Them all knowing he's Eldian, unless people don't think that their family is Eldian.
I don't know, man. They call him, like you said earlier, like the kin of our saviors. I mean, if we try and empathize, I guess, with Marley, because supposedly the Eldians had their boot on the neck of everybody for a long time before Marley was able to overthrow them. So whether or not he's Eldian, maybe that doesn't matter, because maybe all that matters is that his family was, a big part of winning that war. So maybe, I don't know, he's just really.
But even then, having an association with the new nation that like took control of the Titans, that's some weird politics that I think we're going to get some clarity on soon. We just don't have it in front of us now. But he kind of like, he gives a hint of like, I'm going to solve all their problems come tomorrow. Or come tomorrow. We're gonna have a festival.
I have a single solution, which
I have a single solution.
Eerily sounds like the final solution.
I believe that, and this is going to go back to what we were talking about before with the rats reference with McGath. I think they're going to wipe out all the Eldians. I think warrior. Everyone. I'm assuming. I think they're going to try and capture all the warriors. Genocide. They're going to genocide. Back home, because they make the reference to internment zones in other nations. So they set that up of like Eldians being all over the place, and then also puts a lot of weight in what McGath said in the first episode about if we let a Titan die, a shifter die, we would never know where it goes. So another nation could get it, right? Like I think they're just going to wipe out the Eldians. I think that's, they're just going to like kind of make it open season. They're going to try and, because what can the Warriors really do?
I have no idea. I have no idea what his solution is, but I'm very curious. But if it goes the way you're saying, then he becomes the perfect, I don't know about villain or what, but he becomes the perfect embodiment of the other side.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And ironically, who knows, maybe his decision will push Reiner and co together with Aaron and co and give them a common enemy. I have no idea.
So that's if I think like if that is the way it's going, which is my feeling, the reference to the rats is they must know that they're there.
You think?
I think so. I think the pillar because the pillar reference could also be like, there's still some good parts of the government that we can use, or people in the government we can still use.
Mm-hmm.
But the rats reference could also just be like a bunch of, war hungry Marleyan generals, or,
Sure.
because it could also be that. The only reason I thought the other was just because, Willie's got this final solution, like it's,
Mm-hmm.
and where no one knows where that's going to go.
He even says, I understand the desire to exterminate Eldians at one point. He takes care to mention, that blood runs through his own veins. It's like,
Yeah.
just where are we going here, man?
Yeah.
And you can just tell he wields a lot of power, and he's about to make a play.
Hmm.
And he says he's going to reveal it at the festival tomorrow in his first theatrical play.
Which is weird.
Yeah, he clearly has
Very aristocratic.
an affinity for showmanship as well.
Hmm.
Kind of interesting. So yeah, we kind of skipped to towards the end of the episode. If we backtrack a bit, we end up at my favorite scene of the episode.
Oh yeah,
which is Falco and Aaron, or Aaron is calling himself Kruger.
Kruger,
So he's Mr. Kruger. At this point, this is where we formally learn that Falco has been sending several letters for Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
So it has been some time and more than one. Aaron says, he's got to go home after the festival. So he's aware of local events. He's aware of the festival. He probably is aware that it holds some significance.
Mm-hmm.
And just the phrase, I got to get back to my hometown.
Yeah.
Reiner and Berthold are saying that shit all throughout season 2.
Oh yeah.
We gotta get the fuck out of here. We gotta go home. So yeah, that just is another funny little parallel. And then this is the best part for me. As Falco leaves, and this old man and a doctor who introduces himself as a doctor sits next to Aaron, and he says his name is Jaeger. And he kind of gives Aaron a little bit of shit for talking so much with Falco.
Yeah.
But it's clear why. He basically says, that boy's family has been through a lot. And, they finally became Marleyan, honorary Marleyans because of the warrior program, because Falco's older brother is going to inherit the beast. And then he basically says, you don't want to mess that, you could potentially mess up the kid's whole life and his whole family life. And then we take a bit of a turn here, and Aaron says, do you have your own regret about family? And I think Aaron is aware of who this man is.
Do you think so?
I think so. I think there's a reason he's pushing him. Because the old man eventually he spills the beans and he says, yeah.
Well, did Aaron know that where his namesake is from?
I don't know, but I don't think he knew before, but I think all of that was absolutely in the books that his dad left behind.
Yeah.
His dad took care to discuss, to leave a record in the books of what happened between him and his own family. That his own family brainwashed him, he rebelled, and eventually his son turned him in. And anyway, so this old man sitting on the bench, we realize, as he recounts the worst day of his life when his children left and escaped the zone briefly, and his daughter was killed, and all this shit went down. We realize that this is Aaron's grandfather.
A wild, absolute wild.
Fucking crazy. And he loses his mind. He becomes hysterical. He starts shrieking. And as that happens, you quickly realize that, he's not a doctor here. He's a patient here. Because he has significant emotional trauma. I think, and good luck proving this, but I think Aaron was 1,000% aware of who he was talking to.
Yeah.
And was, one, probably curious about whether his grandfather had regret. And two, I think he may have wanted to hurt him there.
Maybe.
Emotionally, for what his grandfather has done to his family. Who knows? But I think Aaron was completely aware of who he was talking to.
I could see that, especially, the books that Grisha left behind. I knew something was up when they cut away to an orderly and another doctor inside the building looking out.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember just, this is a mental hospital. That's where Aaron is right now. And I was like, this is something's going to come of this. And yeah, just.
And he was wearing the red armband for honorary Marleyan, right? Which you get when someone in your family is a Titan.
Yes.
And that's
it'd be Zeke in this instance.
It'd be Zeke in this instance. So yeah, man, that was that shit was fucking crazy.
Yeah, and that's the great thing about this episode. There's just so much stuff, just like completely out of left field and unexpected, on like the various spectrums from, to like the lightheartedness of throughout the episode, the who expected like Aaron to sit down with his grandfather, sane or not, and the dinner scene, the Tiber family, just like the presence they have, like.
I agree. It's all out of left field.
It's all out of left field, and like we've had lots of lore dumps, every episode this season so far.
Mm-hmm.
But there was so much. You could tell it was kind of drip fed throughout the whole episode. It's not like the previous episodes where like you get a little bit, kind of like a lot of info at one time. I found this is just a lot across the board and just like a little bit of feeding. And then now we're going to get that throughout, like maybe going forward just a little bit more at a time. Because they've set up huge things. Like this whole Tiber family dynamic thing there's so much to that like, it kind of feels like we're back in the dark again. Which feels like normal Attack on Titan.
Yeah, always you're just clawing for more answers, but all you get is more questions.
Yeah.
We have learned a bit. I mean, I think... man, like we have definitely a new appreciation for these characters that we already knew, and I think no matter who we meet now, especially like people like Galliard and Pieck, that hold Titans, where we would probably just consider them immediate enemies when we were watching seasons 2 and 3 and whatnot. Now you have a lot of understanding for their predicament. You feel for them a little bit more because of what a great job the show has done painting these circumstances and the fact that all of these people were born into this.
Yeah.
Basically, the show or the episode wraps up. There's a post-credit scene, of course, but it wraps up on the festival, or maybe like the morning of, which is like one of the really, really great, lighthearted, happy scenes we were talking about.
From beginning to end, what a phenomenal scene!
It's not very long, but it's incredibly effective. So fun. It's all of the warrior candidates and the warriors just pigging out. They're eating ice cream, pizza, all kinds of food. Reiner's paying for everything.
That's my favorite. My favorite gag is just each time it cuts back to like them all cheering with a new type of food. You can see his head is slowly dipping from like all the money he's spending. Like just he's like super happy at first, gladly paying, and then kind of like, oh okay, and then like you can see his head is just down by the third.
Yeah, fourth. I know.
Yeah.
Even Galliard is there. He's in on the fun. Yeah. Pieck is there. They're all there. They all seem to be having a good time.
Exception is, I think it's just Zeke and Colt are the ones missing out.
Yeah.
And even Galliard kind of like makes an expense out. I'm like, like it's okay to relax every now and then,
Yeah.
So that's the thing too. Like Galliard's he genuinely dislikes Reiner, but he also seems like an older brother to all of them, like he's not like just an absolute jerk.
Which is so fucked. Like every time I try to appreciate the relationships between the existing Titans and the candidates.
Yeah.
It's so hard you have to keep that in the back of your mind that like they're so aware that this person is going to literally eat me alive. When the time comes. And I don't have a lot of time left.
Yeah.
So fucked. I love the credit and the sequence. I love it when they do this. They've done this a few times in this show where they slowly put credits on the side, or they'll put credits wherever and start playing a score, but the show isn't over yet, so they're like preemptive credits. I don't know what you would call it, but I love that. And it's Reiner literally dragging Gabby home because she's eaten so much.
Yeah.
And I would have been fine with the episode ending here. I thought it did a really good job of, like you said earlier, kind of the calm before the storm. You get like a really beautiful, like lighthearted scene. And it could probably end there, and I think the audience knows like shit's about to get rough. Because right before the actual credits, she just says, Gabby has this great line where she says, "It feels like something is about to change." And Reiner goes, "Yeah, it does." And then it cuts to credits.
Yeah, it's similar to like the post-dinner scene in would have been last episode or 2 episodes ago. when Reiner has that moment at the dinner table talking about his memories of a parody and
Mm-hmm.
like all kinds of people reference and all that. And Gabby makes a comment of like she's worried about you and all that. Like has like these weird little insightful moments that immediately the following episode just kind of explains all of that.
Yeah.
I think they're going to do that again. I think it's clearly obvious. I would be surprised if they bait and switched us into another kind of slow lore dump episode.
Yeah.
I would be surprised. I think it's on in some way or another.
And then there's post credits. Please tell me you saw that.
Oh, absolutely.
Imagine if you didn't.
I know. Yeah, I watched straight to the end.
Yes. Thank God. Yeah, I caught that. Post credits. It just looks like everybody's getting ready and gathering for the festival or like this little play that Willie has organized. And Falco is on a little mission, and he's missing at first. Then he shows up and he's like, "Yo, Reiner, follow me." They're short on time, but Zeke says, "No, you should be good. Go check it out." So Reiner follows Falco into a basement. Looks like an underground kind of dingy basement.
Seems like more than that. He was like, there was some pretty serious lefts and rights and down levels. Like he went out of his way to get there.
Yes. So it's a little out of the way, and if you remember, like way back in season 1, I remember they were intentionally trying to lure Annie underground as well, so that she wouldn't be able to transform, right?
Yep.
So I'm wondering if that is a coincidence, or maybe it's just they don't want Eren anywhere nearby, but I'm spoiling it. They lure him to Eren, or Falco lures him to Eren. And, I think what I love about this play is that Eren is clearly not afraid.
No.
He is very clearly making a play. He has Falco wrapped around his finger, with the intel, with the letters, and with luring Reiner out into the open.
What would he have said to Falco to get him to just?
I bet we're finding out next episode, but I haven't got a fucking clue.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Falco's dumb. I mean, he actually reminds us quite a bit of Eren, right?
Yeah. I agree. I don't think he's dumb at all. Like he clearly has, like I don't want to like sell Eren short or sell Falco short, but like I do think Eren is a very genuine character.
Mm-hmm. Maybe not anymore, but yeah.
Maybe not anymore, but like I'm sure he feels for Falco, and I'm sure like he had to use him, to kind of move their plan forward. But I wonder. Yeah, I'm sure we're gonna get next episode, but like what? It's so crazy the rapport the two of them have built together in such like a short amount of time, and like I wonder how much more Falco has told him.
Yeah, what was Eren on top of Eren being behind enemy lines and being able to, notice as much as he wants and report on it. He also has a warrior candidate right in front of him that is maybe potentially parting with sensitive information.
Yeah.
So then Reiner shows up, and I love that, like, just his tone. Eren's just like, "Yo, Reiner, it's been 4 years."
Yeah, how you been?
And I love, like, Eren's still missing the leg, still got an eye patch on, and he doesn't look like he has a care in the world. He's sitting down. He's pretty defenseless, or so it would seem. He would appear as a vulnerable person, but he looks pretty at ease when Reiner walks in. He's lured him here. It feels like Eren holds the power going into this confrontation. But who knows how that's going to play out, because Reiner ain't no chump. But it feels like, the first phase of a plan of some kind. And I'm super curious to see where they take it.
Oh, that's all I've been able to think about since, the episode has ended is it sucks because I think you had mentioned this is the week we're going to be having like a bye week here.
Yes, those bastards. They're breaking for New Year's Eve.
Or
New Year's, whatever.
I want to know Reiner's first words. That's what I want to know. I want to know like the immediate reaction. Like does Reiner spring into action? Like this could go 100 because we've seen so many sides to Reiner in these past few episodes. Like we don't know which side of his personality we're going to get.
And if he does quick mental math and some mental gymnastics, he's going to realize, like, wait, if Eren's here, that also means a million other things.
Yes.
Like, 1, we've been infiltrated. 2, he must know what's going on. 3, like, how the hell did he lure me here? 4, if you got Falco to do it, like, how much more does he know? What else has Falco done for him?
Yeah.
Like, it's a domino effect. Like, just, like, seeing him here means a lot.
Probably scanning the room to see where Mikasa is.
Yeah, she's got him a couple times now. He's definitely got that PTSD.
Yeah, well, because they set up that moment, like, he flashes to, he wakes up to her swinging on him.
I'd be scared of her, too.
Yeah.
Because in Titan form, out of Titan form, she's given him a couple good licks.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then there's a 2-week break. Did you watch the preview?
Yeah, I did.
They're so short. They do a good job of not telling you much. I mean, I don't think the preview answers any of the questions that we've laid out. It looks like the festival's going to happen, and there's clearly a confrontation with Eren and Reiner. And the episode title is probably the most interesting. Do you know what it is?
No, I did catch that, actually.
Do you want to know?
Yeah, sure.
It's the next episode is called Declaration of War.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, which is pretty heavy. So I think it might lend credence to your theory that maybe it's just time to commit genocide.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's time we put all of our military effort behind going back to Paradis. I don't know what their call is, but clearly it's violent.
Well, this just kind of, like, now that I think about it, I'm thinking more of that scene, where Zeke makes the request to continue the Paradis Island mission.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, they were listening in on them. Zeke must have some insight into what's going on.
Yeah, he's their war chief.
But, like, outside of Marley, like, Zeke must have an idea of maybe, like, where the Tiber family's head is at.
Yeah,
and, like, their stance on everything. Like, maybe, who knows if going to Paradis Island, like, again, this is total left field, just like a far out theory, but, like, what if they're trying to escape?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, just trying to get away, because, like, I feel like my theory is Willie's just gonna snatch up all the shifters, keep them locked up, give it to someone in the family,
mm-hmm.
and then, just kill all the rest of the Eldians. Let there be no more Eldians to
His
potentially
own people?
get it. Yeah.
I mean...
Well, he can't have too much love for them.
Yeah, no shit, if he's letting me go through this.
Yeah. We also kind of glossed over, there's a moment during the ball, the 4 warriors candidates were waiters.
Yes, that was a great scene.
Do you think they were there, like, on the basis of gaining intel?
I don't think so.
No.
I think that they were, like, they needed waiters at a fancy place, and the warrior candidates are as far up as you get.
Sure.
But you're still a second-class citizen. Like, they actually said, there's filthy blood touching the plates. Do you remember
yeah, everyone was just, like, looking at them. I'm surprised they weren't spitting at them. There was a funny line, again, I blank on his name. The candidate with the glasses.
Yeah, I know. This is the most screen time he's had, right? So it's tricky.
Yeah, well, he had some stuff. He had a couple moments when he was kind of kicking. They're on the docks, and that's when Reiner kind of comes to them, and they'll run after him. But, he bumps into a woman and gets wine on her, and she quickly kind of, like, comes to his rescue and, like, takes the heat for it. Saying, like, oh, no, like, like, I spilt the wine. Like, I think like a maitre d' comes over and he's like, oh, what's going on here?
That felt kind of relevant. I wonder if we'll see her again.
I think so.
She was an Asian woman wearing a kimono, and they actually say, I think she's from some certain Eastern Hizuru place or something.
Hizuru,
like that.
Yeah. But the line that made me laugh was his name. I don't recall. He goes, oh, like, she knew I was Eldian, and I'm like. Mm-hmm. You have a fucking armband on, dude. Yeah. It's the first. I was like, what?
She must have a really keen sense of intuition.
Wow,
I don't know how she was able to pick that up so fast.
But you notice too, like, Willie, none of the Tiber family wears any of the armbands.
Yeah, that's a great point. I never noticed that. Yeah.
Like, I don't believe they count themselves, like, as Eldian at all.
Yeah, but obviously they have to be, right?
Yeah.
Man, I'm excited to see the Warhammer Titan in action too.
Yeah, I wonder how soon. If this episode has really made me dread that it's only 16 episodes this season.
Yeah, the prevailing theory that I keep seeing is that it is 16 episodes, but a lot of people seem confident that there'll be parts 1 and 2.
Is there any credence to that? Like, any concrete reasoning to that?
The reasoning that I saw recently that was actually pretty good was that for season 3, part 1 and 2, is while they were doing part 1, they didn't announce in advance that they were going to be splitting it. They only told you they were splitting it towards the end of part 1. So it was like, okay, so, well, they could just be doing the same thing here.
Yeah.
Because that would give it a matter of precedence, right?
Like it sounds selfish and greedy, but like I feel like they definitely could tell this story in 16 episodes. Well, the storytelling is very, very tight. And,
it is, but from what I've seen in like non-spoiler threads, manga people are like, there's absolutely no way.
Really? Eh?
They're like, yeah, we do. Every episode is about 2 to 2.5 or 3 chapters.
Oh, really?
And that it covers, yeah, and there's absolutely no way, is what they're saying. But who knows?
I'm telling you, I will be reading the manga after this is finished.
Dude,
this will be a first for me.
Same here. It'll be my first one I ever read. I'm so glad, knock on wood, that I haven't had a manga spoiler yet.
I think I had one.
I mean, a significant one. I think I told you.
Yeah.
A small one, but like nothing crazy.
Yeah, I've had a minor one, and it hasn't revealed itself in the season, but it could be one of those things that they don't. Like there's just so much content. Like it really puts in perspective how much more there is. Like if you read it, like they do their best to consolidate it and still get the full picture as best as they can. But it's what a tremendous season. Like each episode, I will say like this isn't my favorite episode. Like, I feel like each week I've loved the one after that even more. I think this is a great episode. I don't think it's the best one out of the bunch.
Yeah, I'm not
in my opinion.
I'm not sure.
But it's a great episode, and I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with it at all. It's just
Reiner post-traumatic stress episode might have been my favorite of the season so far.
Yeah, I agree. I would say so.
But yeah, man, so that's it. And it's also dawning on me that because of the break, and even without the break, this is our last episode of 2020.
Well, what a way to close the year. Attack on Titan.
Yeah, and some people are saying that 2020 has been a somewhat turbulent year. And, I don't know what people are talking about, but...
I must have missed the memo.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, and things have been pretty smooth sailing for me, but... 2021 hopefully will be a better year filled with plenty more of Attack on Titan coverage and lots of part-time otaku podcasts. Perhaps we'll still do like a little holiday episode.
I think we should absolutely break in the new year with talking about some of the good things that we watched and loved with Attack on including Attack on Titan. I think we should do that. I think that would be fun.
Yeah. I think that's a good idea. So we'll have some kind of, we'll put something out on our typical schedule. I think we usually post on Wednesdays, so look for it next Wednesday. But other than that, thank you for listening. So far, we're getting a bit of traction and we're getting some good feedback. So thank you very much for lending us your ears. This is really fun for both me and Grant to do. We don't really have many mid or long-term goals with the podcast, but we'll probably keep doing this as long as Attack on Titan is out at minimum, and then probably potentially something else after that. If there's anything you want us to cover, or if you have any theories you want us to discuss, or anything crazy like that, don't hesitate to leave feedback. We pretty much read all of it anyway. But other than that, we will see you next week.
Bye, everyone. Hit us up.
Okay. Cheers.